भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै अवधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् तदेष श्लोकः। न पश्यो मृत्युं पश्यति न रोगं नोत दुःखदाम् सर्वं पश्यति सर्वमाप्नोति सर्वशः इति। स एकधा भवति त्रिधा भवति पञ्चधा सप्तधा नवधा चैव पुनश्चैकादश स्मृतः शतं च दश च एकश्च सहस्राणि च विंशतिः। आहारशुद्धौ सत्त्वशुद्धिः सत्त्वशुद्धौ ध्रुवा स्मृतिः श्रुतिलम्भे सर्वग्रन्थीनां विप्रमोक्षः तस्मै मुदितकषायाय तमसस्पारं दर्शयति भगवान् सनत्कुमारः। तं स्कन्द इत्याचक्षते तदेष श्लोको भवति। किंच, furthermore, meaning what was stated in the previous passage, आत्मतः आकाशः आत्मतः प्राणः एवं पश्यतः एवं मन्वानः एवं विजानतः. So for the one who evam pashyatah, who sees in this manner, स्वराज्यं प्राप्तस्य प्रकृतस्य विदुषः इत्यर्थः. एतस्य of this person, the wise person who has attained the sovereignty. Prakrutasya, the one who is in the discussion with Vishaya of the wise person. Evam pashyatah Atma eva sarvam idam sarvam Bhuma eva idam sarvam Aham eva idam sarvam Atma eva idam sarvam Evam pashyatah. Who sees Bhuma as all pervading, as the self of all. Who sees Aham also as one with Bhuma. Atma also is identical to Bhuma. Evam pashyatah, one who sees thus as a result of manvanaha, as a result of mananam, vijanatah vijnanam. Atmatah pranaha. Now his vision has changed completely. Prak sadatma vijnanat swatmanah anyasmat satah pranadeh namantasya utpatti pralayo abhutam. The same person, abhutam, utpatti pralayo, for the very same person, prak sadatma vijnanat, before he came to know that Sat Atma, that Atma is Sat, Atma is existence, Sat or existence, which is the Upadana Karanam, the very self of the entire universe, is my own self. I am that. Before that knowledge, he took Sat as different from himself. So he accepted Sat as the Jagat Karana, no doubt, but then as different from himself. So he knew that the Jagat Utpatti Pralaya, the creation, the emergence and merger of the entire universe are from Sat, from God. Except that Sat is different from me, or I am different from Sat. So this was his perception earlier. Sadatma vijnane tu sati. When this knowledge took place that I am Sat, Sadatma vijnanam, this Vishesha Jnanam, this knowledge, specific knowledge, that Sadatma, I am Sat. Then formally what emerged from Sat, now he realizes that as emerging from himself. Formerly Sat was different from him. Now he realizes Sat is his own self, and therefore Swatmateva samvrittau utpatti pralayo. Now he sees that the whole universe has emerged from him, whole universe merges back from him. Tata sarvopi anyo vyavahara atmadeva vidushaha. Similarly, all the vyavahara, such as krida, and all of this also is from Atma alone. Nothing is apart from Atma. The verse in 13th chapter, Tata eva ja vistara brahma sampadyate tada yada bhuta prasak bhavam ekastha manupashyate. Tata eva ja vistara yada bhuta prasak bhavam. Bhuta prasak bhavam. All this diversity that you see in this universe, ekastham anupashyate, realize that all this diversity is in fact is all rooted in one. It all merges back into one. Tata eva cha vistara. The whole vistara also, diversity also is from the same self. Brahma sampadyate tada. Then he attains oneness with Brahman. Kincha, furthermore, for this wise person, tat etasmin arthe. So, the Tikakara says kincha is only samuchaya. Otherwise, furthermore means tade tasmin artha esha sloko mantro bhiho. Meaning that the shloka, the mantra, in fact, reveals only the same meaning. Etasmin artha, in the same sense. The utpatti, pralaya are all from the wise person only. That very thing also is revealed by this shloka or mantra. Na pashyah pashyati mrityum na pashyo mrityum pashyati na rogam nota dukkhadam. Pashyah pashyati iti pashyah yathoktadarshi vidwan. So, this is an interesting word, pashyah. Pashyati iti pashyah. One who sees what? Yah pashyati sa pashyati. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishthantam parameshwaram vinasyatsva vinasyantam yah pashyati sa pashyati. Sa pashyati. One who sees this one among the many, who is changeless in the changing, imperishable in the perishable. The Paramatma in all these insignificant beings and creatures, he sees the same limitless Paramatma. Tishtandam Parameshwaram, same Parameshwara he sees. Vinashyatsu avinashyantam, one is imperishable in the perishable. And so, sapashyati, yah pashyati, sapashyati. One who sees this, the one in many, the same and all dissimilar, the imperishable, imperishable, the limitless, he sees. This is called pashyah, pashyati iti pashyah. Yathoktadarshi vidwan, the vidwan, the wise person who sees the whole universe emerging from himself and merging back, meaning that his perception of himself is completely changed. And that's what Vedanta wants us to do, is a complete change of perception about our own self. When that changes, when perception of myself changes, my perception about everything else will automatically change. Because the way I perceive others is totally based on the way I perceive myself. And so, that his perception has changed. He no more looks upon himself as this limited being confined to this body, mind, sense complex. He sees himself as Sat, as a very upadana, material cause of the universe, as a very self, as a very substratum upon which the whole universe is projected. So, that's all it means. Emergence also is projecting. So projection is there, and projection then folds up. Mrityum rogam dukkhatam na pashyati. He doesn't see death in himself, disease in himself, sorrow in himself. Formerly, he thought that he was a mortal being. He was subject to old age and disease. He was subject to dukkha or sorrow. He no more sees all this in himself. Not that he does not see. He knows what death is and what old age is and what disease is and what sorrow is. No more associates all of this with himself. Sarvam pashyat pashyati sarvam apnoti sarvashah. Sarvam hi pashyah pashyati. Sa pashyah sarvameva pashyati atmaneya sarvam. So he sees everything as his own self. Everybody sees everything. So he sees everything as what? As the very self. Tatah sarvam apnoti. On account of he's seeing everything as his own self. Sarvam apnoti. He attains everything. He becomes everything. Sarva prakara. He attains everything in every way. Meaning he sees himself as everything in every way. Yet kincha jagatyam jagat. Nothing is excluded, good, bad and indifferent. Whatever there is, he sees everything as not apart from himself. Kincha sa vidwan prak srishti prabhedat ekadaya bhavati. Before the diversification in the form of this universe, he saw himself as one. Ekadaya vasan tridadi bhedahi ananta bheda prakaro bhavati srishti kale. Srishti kale, when then the emergence takes place, when the creation takes place, the idea is that one alone manifests as many. What is one. Sadeva Somya idam agrasit ekameva advityam. That's all there is. So now that he sees himself as Sat, Ek Advitiya, then he sees himself as 3 and 5 and 7 and 9 and 11 and 101 and 1020 and countless. Punah samhara kale moolameva svam parmarthikam ekada bhavam pratipadyate swatantra eva iti. Punah samhara kale. Again, at the time of dissolution, folding up everything in himself. Moolameva svam parmarthikam ekada bhavam. Ekada bhavam is parmarthikam. That homogeneity is parmarthikam. That's the reality. And the 3 and the 5 and all of these are nothing but projections which are incidental, come and go. So, moolameva svam parmarthikam ekada bhavam pratipadyate. It attains that homogeneity ekada bhavam. Swatantra eva. He being swata independent in creation and sustenance and dissolution. Idi vidyam phalena prarochayan stauti. Upanishad in fact extols his Brahma Vidya. How great it is that the wise person sees the whole universe as emerging from him. He sees the whole universe as nothing but his own manifestation. And then he is free, swatantra, independent and free to fold it up as he wants. So this praising the wise person is praising the Vidya or the knowledge, extolling the knowledge. So Tikakara said that all this is not to be taken literally. Swatantreva srishti samharayo swatantra muktam. The wise person is just praised out of his bounds that he is swatantra, he is independent, he is free for srishti and samhara, in creation and dissolution, he is free. Tridadi bhava na vidya phalam, that he becomes 3 and 5 and 7 and 9 is not really the main result or the outcome of this knowledge. Mukto bheda abhava. Because when he is now free, he sees himself as one non-dual. He doesn't see the 3. And so Tridha bhavati panchada saptada navadha ekadasha. But then the 3, 5, 7, 9 he doesn't see, he sees only 1. So mukto bheda bhavat tridhari bhava cannot be. Ashankya brahma prapto satyam brahma bhutasya upadana bhavena nanarupatvam stutyartham uchyate. Somebody said that when the wise person sees only 1, how do you say that he becomes 3-fold and 5-fold? That 3 and 5 are not there in his vision anyway. That is why Bhashyakara says Vidyam Stauti. This is said for extolling the Brahma Vidya. Now says next Anandagiri, second line of the Tika. vidyam tatphalam tadapekshitam stutim cha abhidaya. Everything has been stated. Vidyam, the Brahma Vidya has been unfolded. Tatphalam, the result of the Brahma Vidya, which is what? Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Swarat Bhavati. So the Tikakara said that there is expression of Jivan Mukti, and since there is no reason why the bondage should come back to him, bondage can be there only as long as ignorance is there. When ignorance is not there, then ignorance cannot stage a comeback. So bondage cannot stage a comeback. When light is there, darkness cannot stage a comeback. When knowledge is there, ignorance cannot stage a comeback. So bondage cannot come. Therefore, if he is liberated while living, he remains liberated even after the fall of this body. It doesn't make any difference to him. So that is the Vidya Phalam. And then by the way, this threefold and fivefold, etc. he said, Tat apekshitam stutim cha vidhaya. And apekshitam. So Vidya Phalam, the result of the knowledge is stated. Then stuti also, because Shruti wants to enjoin this knowledge, wants to emphasize the importance of this knowledge, value of this knowledge, inevitability of the knowledge, that you have to have this. For that is stuti. So purpose of stuti or praise or extolling is so prarochayan, to create ruchi, create a liking, a desire, an enthusiasm in this person to acquire that knowledge. So whatever needed to be stated has all been stated. Nothing remains to be stated. Ahar shuddho ityadhe tatparyamaha. So what's the purpose of the next sentence now? Ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi, sattva shuddho dhruva smriti. Ahara shuddho, when the food is purified, sattva shuddhi, the mind becomes pure. Sattva shuddho dhruva smriti. When the mind is pure, then there is the unfailing dhruva smriti, unfailing memory and knowledge. Smriti lambe saragranthina vipramoksha. When you gain this smriti or the knowledge or abidance in the knowledge, then all the granthis or all the knots in the heart, they all fall asunder. That's what the Upanishad says, prescribing sadhanam. So this also is a style, shaili. Having said where is in Chāndogyopaniṣad also, elsewhere also, Mundava satyena tapya tapasa labhyesha atma, etc. So even after stating the whole Shastra, it is sometimes done that you also prescribe the means sadhanam. In case after all these upadesha also the knowledge has not taken place, then this sadhanam also is prescribed. As for in Bhagavad Gita, in 15th chapter, everything is stated. Idi guhyatamam shastram idamuktam mayanaga. This most secret shastra has been told by me. Then comes 16th chapter and 17th chapter prescribing sadhanam. So Daivi Sampat is against the Asuri Sampat. Satvikta is against, so Rajasikata or Tamasikta, whatever. So here also, this is stated, the sadhanam is stated for this vidya. And so, Bhashyakara says, Atha iti. Atha idanim yatoktayaha vidyayaha सम्यक अवभास कारणम मुख अवभास कारणस्य इव आदर्शस्य विशुद्धि कारणम साधनम उपदिश्यते ahara shuddhau. So sadhanam upadeshyate. But the Shruti now is, the Shruti gives instruction about the sadhanam, about the means. Mukha avbhasa karanasya adarshasya visuddhi karanam. Just as you may be standing in front of a mirror and still are not able to see your face clearly because there is a lot of dust on the mirror. So when the dust is removed, Vishuddhi, so when the surface of the mirror is purified, is cleaned, then Mukha avbhasa karanasya, that very adarsha, that very mirror becomes now the means of revealing your face. So formerly face was not revealed because of the dust or the dirt. When that is removed, the mirror now reveals avabhasa. So reflects your face, reveals your face. Your face is there in the mirror. But the dust was the obstacle, pratibandhaka, which did not allow the face to be revealed. When you remove that, face which is there itself is revealed. So also the self is always reflected in the mirror of the mind. Mind is compared to a mirror. And just as it is the nature of the mirror to reflect whatever lighted object is there in front of it, so also is the nature of the mind to reflect consciousness. Except that when we look at our mind, we see an ego. We see that reflection, a distorted reflection. Distortion also is there, and impurities are also there. So we see ourselves as a distorted self or as an impure self. Ahankara is a distortion of the consciousness. And then also I am a sinner, I am whatever. That's all the impurities also. That is not because I or the consciousness really is impure, but the impurity is in the reflecting medium, namely the mind. The distortions are there, impurities are there, and therefore it is necessary to clean up the mirror of the mind. So vidyaya samyak avabhasa karanam, that this knowledge gets very clearly revealed in the mind. Mind reveals this knowledge, meaning mind reveals the true nature of self. Mind reveals the self as it is. So vidya, knowledge is what you perceive. So just as I perceive through senses also, I perceive myself. And if the self is revealed clearly, I perceive it clearly. So vidya yathoktaya vidyaya samyak avabhasa karanam. So vishuddhi karanam, vishuddhi really. So mukha avabhasa karanasya aditya adarshasya vishuddhi. So also vishuddhi or the purification of the mind is a karanam, is a means for the very clear manifestation of the self in the mind. So it says ahara shuddha. With that in mind, the Upanishad says ahara shuddha. Says Anandagiri, ragadvesha vyuktaistu vishayan indriyaischaran ityadi smritim asritya ahara shuddham vyakaroti. So Lord Krishna says, ragadvesha vyuktaihi indriyahi atmavashyehi videyatma. This wise person who enjoys the mastery over the self, videyatma, whose atma or the mind is available to him for applying wherever he wants. So how did he get this mind, mastery of the mind? Ragadvesha viyuktahi indriyahi. The sense organs are made free from all raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. And then what? Atmavashyahi, as a result of that, the sense organs are completely under his control. So then when he contacts the world, prasadam adhigacchati. He attains prasadam, placidity or prasannata, sheer happiness. So he gets prasadam from his own mind, basically. Prasada means the cheerfulness, the joy. He gains the joy from his own self. And then everything becomes also the object of joy. Meaning when he enjoys himself, he enjoys everything. And therefore making the mind, that is sense organs with the mind, making the mind free from the raga dveshas is what the Bhagavad Gita describes as lakshana or characteristics of a wise person. Therefore, indriyehi vishayancha indriyehi. So there Lord Krishna says that he perceives all the sense objects through his sense organs that are devoid of raga dveshas or purified. Meaning that whatever you perceive through all the senses is what is meant there in Bhagavad Gita. So based on that, Bhashyakara also gives the same meaning to the word ahara. So Bhashyakara says, ahriyate ahriyate ityaharaha shabdadi vishaya vijnanam bhoktuhu bhogaya ahriyate tasya vishopalabdhi lakshanasya vijnanasya shuddhihi ahara shuddhihi ragadvesha mohadoshehi asam srishtam vishaya vijnanam ityartha. Ahriyate, what is acquired is ahara. So whatever you acquire is called ahara. Ahara means food, but so the common meaning of ahara is food that you consume from your mouth. So Bhashyaka gives derivative meaning. The Rudyartha is prachalit meaning is ahara, food. But here the derivative meaning ahriyate iti ahara. Whatever you in fact acquire or consume is called food. Shabdadi vishaya vijnanam, but through all the sense organs of perception. So Shabdadi vishaya vijnanam, the knowledge of such objects as Shabda, Sparsha, sound, etc. So that perception itself is called ahara. Katham tasya ahriyamanatvam, Anandagiri says. How do you say that you are consuming or you are eating the sound and taste and touch and stuff like that? Says bhoktuhu bhogaya ahriyate. This bhokta, this person, the enjoyer, perceives those sense objects for his own pleasure, for his own bhoga, for his own enjoyment. And therefore, whatever is perceived through all the sense organs, and of course it includes the conventional food. Conventional ahara means food, that is included. But also includes whatever it is that we consume through all the sense organs. Tasya vishopalabdhi lakshanasya vijnanasya aharasya. So that ahara is of the nature of vishopalabdhi, perception of the sense objects through the organs of perception. So vijnanasya shuddhihi, that vijnanam, that perception, that cognition, shuddhi, the purification of that vijnanam. It's interesting. The purification of mind follows the purification of the knowledge. Ahara shuddhi. So whatever you see, whatever you hear, whatever you taste, whatever you touch, whatever you smell, all of that should be that vijnanam, shuddhihi, the purification of that perception or cognition of the objects through all various objects and organs of perception. So that vijnanam must be, the vijnanam is called food. Vijnanam is perception. So whatever you perceive or cognize through the sense organs means the whole universe consisting of the five objects. Universe is what it is. It is the vijnanam of perception, our knowledge must become purified. So first of all, we should only indulge in what is pure. Make sure that what you see is pure, what you hear is pure, what you touch is pure, what you taste, what you smell, everything is pure. Meaning you do not in any way indulge or partake of any entities or any objects which are impure. Because that is what affects the mind. So, annamayam somya manaha. The mind is made of food, but that food includes all of this. Although in the 6th chapter, the food was ahara in terms of what is consumed through mouth. So people often ask this question. Swamiji, we say that only when the food is pure that the mind becomes pure. But in all these foreign countries, so many sages and saints were there and are there, and they consume, meat, which is impure, and still they are saints. So I said, this is not only food. Food really is what comes through all the organs of perception, all of them, in action. So that is where the purity was there. I say that if they consume vegetarian food, it would have been even better. But then that is not the only thing. So we are all vegetarians. That doesn't mean the mind is pure, because unless they are other things are pure. But if food is impure, it would only add to impurity. That we can say for sure. So vijnanasya shuddhihi, ahara shuddhihi. The knowledge should become pure. Knowledge of the objects or coming through perception of the sense organs should be pure. What does it mean? Raga, dvesha, mohadosha or mohadi, it can be doshahi, asamsrishtam, vishaya vijnanam. The vishaya objects are what they are. The perception is what it is. Where so? There should be no raga, dvesha, moha, all these doshas should not be there. Again, only when the mind is pure. Because raga, dvesha and moha are in the mind. How can the vijnana, how can the perception be free from attachment and aversion and greed, etc., unless the mind is free from that? So ultimately it amounts to only the freedom of raga, dveshas and moha in the mind. Because how do you assure that what you see and what you hear is devoid of raga, dveshas? The objects don't have raga, dveshas. The sense organs do not have raga, dveshas. The perception doesn't have raga, dvesha. Only mind has raga, dveshas. Its own distortion of what it perceives. So this is the nature of mind, to project its own problems, own distortions, own attachments, aversions, delusion, whatever it is all projected. And then we brand the object as impure. But really that is in the mind and projected upon the objects. So ultimately it only amounts to purification of mind. How can you purify knowledge? It's a mind that perceives, so raga, dvesha, mohadi, doshai, asamsrishtam, vishaya vijnanam. So Bhashyakara did not want to confine the meaning of ahara to the food, but one would extend that through all the sense organs, all objects. Meaning that Ragadvesha vyuktaihi indriyahi vishayancharat. The indriyas, meaning the mind, should be free from raga and dvesha. Otherwise, what happens? That everything keeps on contributing to impurity. Dhyayato vishayan pumsa sangasteshu vajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha krodha moha etc. It is not the sense objects that do that. Even though poor sense objects are condemned there. Vishayan, dhyayato vishayan, as though the vishayas do that. The vishaya, the sense object creates in him a liking, and then a desire, and then a craving, and then anger. They don't do anything. It's only when you deliberate upon the vishaya, think of them with a mind which possesses ragadvesha. Otherwise, simply analyzing, you see, all scientists, everybody, they inquire into the sense objects, with an objective mind, if you do that, they don't create any problem. But only when we dwell upon the objects with a mind that possesses raga and dvesha, it is that mind that projects. If the mind is raga, it will project all virtues on the object. Mind is dvesha, will superimpose all kinds of defects upon that object and brand that object as desirable and undesirable. It's a mind that brands an object as desirable when it dwells upon that with raga, undesirable when it dwells upon with dvesha, and builds up. That thought builds up into desire and anger and whatever. So all the time blaming the sense objects is, always the world is condemned, and sense objects are condemned, vishayas are condemned, women are condemned, these are condemned. But the problem doesn't lie there. Problem lies in the mind itself. It's from raga, dvesha, moha, etc. And so, when the mind has to be made free from that. But then, when I contact the world with this kind of a mind, that only contributes to the raga dveshas further. That's all it is. Raga dvesha which are there, then the sense objects become only occasion for intensifying the raga dveshas. They in fact invoke the raga dvesha. It's already there. When I contact a sense object, the button is pushed, and then raga dveshas which already in my mind, they just surface. And they control my mind. They control all my dwelling and deliberation. And therefore, it means making the mind free from this impurity of raga, dvesha, moha. Says, Anakidvashi tasya shuddhi asankya raga, dvesha, moha doshi asamsrishtam vijnana. The knowledge or perception or cognition rather, which is untouched by the dosha, the defects of raga, dvesha, moha. Then ahara shuddhi phalam aha. So what's the phalam, result of this ahara shuddhi, purification of the food? Tasyam ahara shuddho satyam tadvatah antahkaranasya sattvasya shuddhi nairmalyam bhavati. Tasyam ahara shuddho satyam. When that ahara shuddhi, the purification of ahara takes place, then tadvatah antahkaranasya. Aharavatah antahkaranasya. The antahkarana that is possessed of that pure ahara or the food, sattvasya shuddhi nirmalyam bhavati. Sattva, the antahkarana, becomes pure. This is a river, So, basically, ahara shuddhi can be there only when the sattva shuddhi is there. I don't know how Bhashyakara sees sattva shuddhi taking place. This is ahara shuddhi. Say that ahara should be free from raga, dvesha, moha, doshai asam srishtam, vijnana. How can it be as long as there are raga, dvesha, moha in the mind? How can your knowledge or cognition become free from that? All you can say is that whenever any ahara takes place, whenever any perception takes place, we should not allow that perception or cognition to push the button. Because that is where raga, dveshas and moha, which is all there in the mind, all of them, they surface. Whenever I contact anything, matra sparshas sukamante, shita ushna sukha dukkhadaha. Some shita ushna sukha dukkha will automatically invoke from my mind. That is when I deal with it. That's when the pratipaksha bhavana is applied and raga dveshas are neutralized. All we can say is that the cognition becomes an occasion for us to apply our detergent of the pratipaksha bhavana to clean up the mind. So sattvasya shuddhi nairmalyam bhavati. The other tika raga dvesha mohadi iti. So maybe the reading is raga dvesha mohadi doshai asamsruta. That's how it should be. Not confined to raga dvesha moha, but all, these doshas. Same verse is quoted, raga dvesha viyukta istu by the Abhinava Narayanandra Saraswati also. Then Bhashyakara says, Sattva Shuddhau cha Satyam Yatha Avagate Bhumatmani Dhruva Avichinna Smriti Avismaranam Bhavate. Sattva Shuddhau Satyam. When there is purification of the mind, Yatha Avagate Bhumatmani Dhruva Smriti Bhavati. Yatha Avagate Bhumatmani. When Bhuma is known as Atma, Yatha Avagate. Bhumatma, as is known, Smriti Dhruva Bhavati. So, it is interesting that Avichinna Smriti Avismaranam Bhavati. The memory becomes avichinna or constant. Meaning that you gain abidance in this knowledge. That's what it means. When the mind is pure, then one gains abidance in this knowledge. Meaning thereby that the knowledge could have perhaps taken place even with some impurities remaining there. But the abidance, that is what Lord Krishna wants to say all along. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan. That whole section there of Siddha Prajna is only for asking us to remove all this kama. Kama means raga dvesha. As long as raga dveshas are there, there cannot be abidance in knowledge. You cannot get the fruits of the knowledge. You may have a glimpse of it when, while Shravanam, etc. or whatever, but one cannot gain the fruits of that knowledge unless it becomes an abiding knowledge, and that cannot be unless the mind is free from these distracting factors. Both raga and dveshas, both of them pull the mind away from the self. Thus they become the obstacles to the knowledge or the abidance of knowledge. Therefore, yathavagate bhumatmani dhruva, unfailing memory, vismaranam bhavati. Then smruti labha phalam darshayati. So what's the result of smruti labha? Says Bhashyakara. Tasyam cha labdhayam smruti lambhe sate sarvesham avidyakrita anarthapasha rupanam aneka janmantara अनुभवेन अनुभव भावना कठिनीकृतानां हृदयाश्रयाणां ग्रंथीनां vipramoksha visheshena pramokshanam vinasho bhavati iti tasyam cha labdhayam smruti lambhe sati. When that smruti avichinna, unfailing memory, when it is gained, avidyakrita anartha pasharupanam aneka janmantara, then all these, the thing is that then all the knots of the heart, they fall asunder. They should fall asunder first, But anyway, so when there is this abidance in knowledge, then all the granthis go away. So, they're there until then or what? So, but anyway, so it's all simultaneous, not one after the other. Avidya, what is avidya? Anartha pasharupana. So all these anarthas are there, all these, the suffering and misfortunes are there in the life, avidya krita, all brought about by ignorance, all the suffering which was there brought about by ignorance. So pasha rupana, all the snares, pasha, all the snares of the nature of this suffering brought about by ignorance. Aneka janmantra anubhava bhavana kathini kritanam. And all these snares, the pashas, meaning all the complexes. Basically, complex is the result of identification with the body, mind, sense complex. That's called ahankara. That I am so and so is the primary complex. Granthi, which is the result of the identification or the unholy wedlock between Purusha and Prakriti, Atma and Anatma. The Granthi, all ahankara is Granthi. Then I am father, I am mother, I am happy, I am happy. They're all the manifestations of the same basic Granthi. So ahankara basically goes away. Aham koto bhavati chinvatah ayapadatyam nija vicharanam. So aham itself is the first Granthi, the sense of individuality that cannot stand when you inquire into what is the nature of this aham. So that was Brahmana Maharshi's, method. Aneka janmantara anubhava bhavana kathini kritanam. All of them are hardened because of so this ahankara hardened and hardened, becomes more and more solid. The sense of individuality on account of its being entertained over countless births. So when the same thing is repeated again and again, it becomes, more and more firm. So kathini kritanam. So says durbhedanam ityartha. So those which are very difficult to bheda, cut asunder. Ahankara has become extremely strong, and so that knot has become so strong that you just cannot cut asunder. Hridayashrayanam, all the granthis, the complexes have their locus in the heart, in the mind. Granthinam vipramoksha bhavati. So when I am bhuma, so aham, I am the body, I am the mind, that's called ahankara. So then it all goes away with aham bhuma, brahmaham asmi, I am Brahman. Brahmaham idam, jagatcha sakalam, etc. I am Brahman in the whole jagat also. So it is that which ultimately, it's a process, understand. Jnanagni sarva karmani bhasmasat kurute ratha. You call it karma or you call it granthi. All the ahankara and all the ahankara, mamakara, all the granthis which are born of ignorance, they cannot stand when aham brahmasmi, when that knowledge comes, it keeps on destroying these granthis. And that's how purification of mind takes place. Because impurity, granthi itself is impurity. The ragadveshas come from ahankara. And that's how slowly the granthis are kathini kritanam, durbhedanam, so difficult to cut asunder. But ultimately, asanga shastrena drudena chitva, that shastra or the weapon of this knowledge, asangoham, that's asanga shastra is either vairagya or asangoham, that knowledge ultimately cuts asunder. Vishay vipramoksha, visheshana pramokshanam, vinasho bhavati, that it gets completely destroyed. Ahankara as a binding ahankara cannot remain at all. The working ahankara can remain for the purpose of interaction with the world, but the binding ahankara cannot be. So aham, what is required for transacting with the world, that aham may remain, but not the bondage. અહીંયા વાત થાય છે. Nitya anuvadatam varayati. It doesn't remain, So, says Bhashyakara yataha iti. Yataha etata uttarottaram yathoktam ahara shuddhi moolam tasmat sakarya ityarthaha. Don't think that these granthis will go away just like that. Yasmat etar uttarottaram yathoktam ahara shuddhi moolam. So granthina vipramoksha, the complete destruction of all these knots, they are asunder in the heart. When does that happen? Dhruva smriti, when there is unfailing memory. When does that happen? Ahara shuddhau, when there is purification of ahara. So sattva shuddhau, when purification of mind is there. When does that happen? Ahara shuddhau, when there is purification of food or what you consume. Uttarottaram, yathoktam ahara shuddhi moolam, meaning all these says ultimately its moola, its root or base in ahara shuddhi, in purification of ahara, purification of food, purification of whatever we consume. Tasmat sa karya. So Bhashyakara is therefore ahara shuddhi karya. So one must be very clear and very devoted towards ahara shuddhi. Make sure that whatever you consume from whatever source, nothing impure is consumed. Do not allow any impure things. Don't read anything, don't see anything, don't hear anything that can pollute the mind. Because mind can be very easily polluted. And so Narada would say, give up all the company of the people also, who can create wrong samskaras in you or who can disturb your shraddha, etc. Give up all that associations. Give all the varta, all the discussion also you give up. There he mentions 3, etc., meaning that this kind of varta also has all effect on the mind. Everything affects the mind. And therefore, one must stay clear of all this. So this is where our free will can come. This is where ahara shuddhi, we can always weed out or exclude anything that is impure. Karya. Now before we proceed further, let us read the footnote on page 341. Sattva shuddhau dhruva smritihi iti. There is unfailing memory when there is purity of the ahara or of the mind. Atra paraihi dhruva smritihi avichinna sudhi santana rupam atmadhyanam. So what is smriti? Smriti means memory. And therefore the word smriti leads you to understand that you must maintain avichinna dhruva, you must maintain unfailing memory of this knowledge. So, avichinna smriti santarum atmadhyanam, that one must maintain an unbroken flow of this thought or that aham brahmasmi atmadhyanam. Smriti lambe sarva granthyanam vipramoksha iti uktehe. So one must maintain this smriti. So here the interpretation of this statement is, some Vedantins in fact interpret that Upanishad is prescribing that you must maintain an unbroken flow of memory or thought, I am Brahman. That dhyanam is what ultimately, so that dhyanam must be there. So they say that even after knowledge takes place, that You must maintain that thought flow, I am Brahman, that alone gives you moksha and not merely knowledge. Prasankyanam, so this sankhya, all this Sruti Santana must be there. Iti yukte tadrusha dhyanam moksha sadhanam. So from this statement they derive this meaning that this Sruti means dhyanam or constantly maintaining the thought I am Brahman is the means of moksha. Nato dhyanantara bhavi darshan rupa sakshatkara. Here we say that dhyana means nididhyasanam brings about sakshatkara or the realization that I am Brahman is the means of moksha, not meditating that I am Brahman. You should meditate and constantly meditate upon Brahman, that is the means of moksha. He says, no, you must see that you are Brahman, not think that you are Brahman, not bhavana. Meditation involves bhavana that I am Brahman. And you always had the bhavana and ahankara, that bhavana can be removed, neutral with this bhavana. He says, no, by knowledge. So, as a result of that bhavana or attitude, you get the knowledge. That sakshat or knowledge is the means of moksha. That's what the Advaita Vedanta says. But by this interpretation, they have in fact akhandi. That means that they have refuted this view that it is sakshatkara which is a means of moksha. Atra uchyate, to this we have to reply. Vidyate hruday granthi chidyante sarva samshaya shiyante chasya karmani tasmin drushte paravare iti mundakadav darshanadeva granthi vedoktahi kagatihi. So vidyate hruday granthi, all the knots cut asunder, tasmin drushte paravare. When you see that paravara which is Brahman itself, then the other granthis are all destroyed. Nothing else is required. That's what is required. Nacha vinigamaka abhavaha. How do you conclude even from that statement of the Chāndogyopaniṣad? How do you come to this determination that Chāndogyopaniṣad means that it is by the knowledge that all the granthis are cut asunder? So there are enough statements elsewhere also to confirm this. Ko moha kashoka egatvam anupashyatah. So where can be delusion, where can be grief? That's moksha. Ekatvam anupashyata, for the one who sees the non-duality. Tam atmastham yenu pashyanti dhiraha tesham shanti shashvati netaresham kathopanishad. So anupashyanti, in keeping with the teaching of the teacher, those who see the atmastham, the self which is the shining in my own heart, when they see that as Brahman, then tesham shanti shashvati, they gain the abiding peace. That is moksha. Yo veda nihitam guhayam sosnute sarvan kaman saha. Again, moksha sahasnute sarvan kaman saha. He enjoys all these pleasures of objects of pleasure simultaneously, means ananda. When yo veda nihitam guhayam, one who sees Brahman as lodged in one's own heart as a self. Tamevaikam janatha atmanam paramam brahma veda brahma tatamam apashyada tadhasya vijagnyau brahma veda brahmaya bhavati pashyan pratipede. In all of these statements, bahusu pradesheshu darshanakya sakshatkarasya granthi vedakapto ukte. That is the darshana. Seeing oneself as Brahman, not meditating on oneself Brahman, seeing oneself as Brahman is what destroys those granthis. Vedanam cha jnanameva. So Brahma Veda, Brahma, what is Veda? Jnanam, knowledge of Brahman. Kvachit vidina arabhya upasana upasamhara. So sometimes they begin with knowledge, ved in the sense of upasana. Paroksha jnanantaram upasanam karmityadartham. So that Veda is paroksha jnanam by way. So, ya evam Veda. When they say it is paroksha jnanam which leads to upasana or meditation. Upasana prakraneshu eva Adityam Brahmid Upasita Ityadishu Ukta Duktai. So, Upasana Prakraneshu, in those Prakranas alone, this Upasana is stated, but then Upasana, so Paroksha Jnanam, Upasana, and then Aparoksha Jnanam. तथा च ध्रुवा स्मृति ही अस्मन् मते ध्रुव संस्कारः एव. For the Vedantin, the meaning of the word they express ध्रुवा स्मृति is samskara, abidance. So the Dehatma samskara is there, it must be replaced by the Brahmatma samskara. Tasya smriti, why is it called smriti then? Smrititva uktistu atmana swarpakashatvena tasmin satya jnananandadvaya tadrupatvat samsadashavi prakashanteva. Smriti is for what you already experienced. So in a way we are always experiencing Atma, which is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma Satchidananda. Apitu Purnanandam Shamatram Avrtatvat na prakashate. So Asti and Bhati, they always shine, but Priyam or Ananda, because of the ignorance and Raga Dveshas, does not shine. Tadapi Upadeshradha Sakshat Karna Avidyanivatto Prakashate. That Anandamsa of the Atma. What causes shok or grief is the absence of Ananda. So the Ananda also shines as a result of the knowledge. And then the ignorance goes away and Ananda also shines. Asti Bharati is always shining, but Priya also then reveals itself. Sakshatkayasya na apurva vastu darshanam. It is not that you are seeing something which is never seen before, as our Swami says. In a moment of happiness, you have a glimpse of yourself. The deep sleep state, you experience yourself. In a moment of ecstasy, also you have a glimpse, experience of yourself. But then experience does not lead to knowledge unless you analyze that experience. So everybody has that experience of Atma. So na apurvastu darshanam apitu kanthagata Vismrut Shamikaranjayana Ajnanena Vismrutasya. What ignorance does is, even when one experiences a moment of ecstasy, ignorance makes me conclude that it comes from there. And therefore, I do not see myself as Ananda. So that is where the instruction, the Upadesha is required, that as you. What you experience in a moment of ecstasy is you. Then, so Kantha Vismra Chami Karanyayana, like the necklace was already there in the neck and this person forgot, and then you all of a sudden find it. It's not achieving something which is unachieved, it is only discovering what you already have. Vismrutasya Upadeshena Smanu Sadusham Jnanam. In that way, you can say knowledge is like the memory, because so it's not memory, but then just as the necklace you have forgotten, you got it. So also as you have forgotten the Atma, and therefore you are now remembering. Sri Sadhushyat Sruti Yuktam. So word Smriti is used for knowledge and Dhruva Smriti for the samskara, for abidance. Okay, coming back here, another thing also, it's interesting to read this Narendra Puriyan Tippam, on the page 342. Ahara Shabdena Abhyavahar Matram Uchyate. So there is a Tikakara whose name was Bhatta Bhaskara. Before Bhashyakara. I think so, or because Bhashyakara refers to Bhatta Bhaskara and Bhartru Prapancha. So Bhaskara is explained by ahara is that which is consumed through mouth. So abhyavaharyam, eating. So Bhatta Bhaskara, the Tikakara, is explained by ahara as food. And then he explains that. So what is the purity of food? Ahara Shuddha, your food must be pure, meaning the different impurities that are possible in the food should be eliminated. So Vishishta Advaita, all of them, we give great importance to Ahara Shuddhi. So this Tat Kin Tat Kinchit jati dushtam bhavati lasunadi. One impurity in the food can be jati. The very food is impure, like the onion or garlic, lasunadi, garlic. Kinchit ashraya dushtam. Sometimes the food becomes impure because of contact with something impure. Like abhishapta patitannam. Like the food that has fallen down on the ground or food that has been cursed. So somebody may have, somebody may look at this food with a bad intention, or the food has fallen down or something, then also it is ashraya dosha. Kinchit nimitta dushtam, keshakita dushtam, a hair can fall down, some impure thing falls in there, then also becomes impure. So ashraya also means your vessels are impure, the person who cooks the food is impure, the thoughts of the cook are impure, that also is ashraya dosha. Nimitta dosha, an impure thing falls in the food. Kinchit kala vishesha dushtam yatha parivishitadi. Sometimes the time also creates impurity when so long time elapses between the cooked food and the time that you eat. This is what Bhaskara says, that ahara shuddhi means purity of the food by removing this impurity or making sure that food is free from these impurities. So ahara shuddhi, that's how we explain. Bhaskara Shankara Vyakhyanam Adushi. That Bhaskara has actually refuted the explanation or bhashya of Bhashyakara. Now this he cannot stand naturally, So says, why does it Prathamyat Ashanasya Anarasa Pushtavi Vishan Ikshadedi. So even Vijnanam also can be pure provided your food is pure. Prathamyat Ashanasya. He says that, Bhaskara says, that even your purification of the knowledge or perception or cognition is first preceded by food. Only when the food is pure, then only narasa pushtav. When the mind also becomes nurtured and nourished by the food, pure food, then only your mind will be pure and then only your knowledge will be pure. So first food and then knowledge. Tatra uchyate aho dhrushtoyam tridandi. So he is very angry. This he must be Tridandi Swami. Tridandi means Vaishnava. So Tridandi yat padartha anabhignyāpi grantham krutva khatim upagata. He says padartha anabhignyāpi, doesn't understand what the Shruti says, and still grantham krutva, he writes books and has become so famous. Nai anyādhikaranam shuddhatvam sattaya sattva shuddhe hetuhu ati prasangat. So just because food is pure doesn't mean mind becomes. The purity of food cannot come to purity of mind. So anyādhikaranam shuddhatvam. The purity which is located in food cannot automatically come to the purity of the mind. What is one place cannot come to the other place. Kintat bhoga is not purity, ahara shuddhi is ahara bhoga. So shuddha ahara bhoga is what brings about purity of mind. Food is pure, but unless you eat it, it cannot contribute to your purity of mind. So if you take literally ahara shuddho sattva shuddhi, that when the food is pure, the mind is pure, that cannot be. Only when pure food is consumed, that's when the mind is pure. Vishayopalabdhischa purushasya bhoga prasiddha, then Vishayopalabdhi, the cognition of sense objects also is bhoga, is very well known. Charvana nigarana dehe prana vyaparatvat prathavyam cha asiddham. So what is eating food? Charvanam, chewing, nigaranam, swallowing. That's what you do when you eat food. Prana vyapa is a vyaparapana vayu. Prathamyam asiddham. It doesn't take place first. Jnanam mina asiddham ashakyatvat. Before you eat the food, you have to know what the food is. Before you eat the food, before you put it in your mouth, you should know what the food is. So Jnanam must come first, then Bhoga comes. So Vashyaka, Vijnanam comes first, Tasmat yadruchaya upanatasya अन्नपानादेः विषयस्य रागादिरहितैः इंद्रियैः ग्रहणम् एव आहार शुद्धि सत्व शुद्धि हेतु. Not merely the shuddhi of the food, but yadruchya upanadasya annapanadehe, the food and water, etc., which is brought by somebody. So this wise person this person doesn't even go out he doesn't seek food. Yadruchya upanadasya, the food that is brought by Ishvaricha. Annapana vishayasya ragadahita indriyahi grahanam. So when food comes before you, how do you respond to that? How do you relate to that? Ragadve ragadi rahitahi indriyahi. No reaction to the food. Neither attachment, nor you attack the food like you're going to grab it or consume it. So no attachment, nor aversion. Therefore, welcome the food. Whatever the food is, welcome the food. No criticism of food, no dosha of the food at all, because that's what creates impurity. The food may be anything, but when you react, that's the impurity of the mind, and that creates impurity. So, ragādirahitahi indriyahi grahanam eva ahara suddhihi, and therefore, consuming that food without ragadvesha is ahara suddhi. Sattva suddhi, that ahara suddhi is the cause of the purification of mind. Same verse is quoted in the Gita. Okay, coming back to page 342, Ashyakara continues. Sarvashastrartham asheshatah uktva akshayikam upasamharade Shruti. So Shruti started this whole dialogue with an Akshayika. How sage Narada approaches Sage Sanat Kumara with a prayer or request for imparting knowledge so that he can become free from this grief. That he is submerged in the ocean of grief, and may you please make me cross this ocean of grief. So Akshayikam upasamharade. Sarvashastrartham asheshata uktva. The Akshayika or the anecdote is not concluded until all Sarvashastrartham, the entire Shastra. So whatever Vedanta Shastra has to teach is all been taught in the 7th chapter. So not only Shastra, so not only Upadesha is so, Guru Upasadanam is there, Adhikaritvam is there, Guru Upasadanam is there, and then Upadesha is there. And then what? The result also, the phalam is also there. All of this is stated. So Upadesha must be there. What's the result? The Jivan Mukti. All of this is stated. Asheshta without leaving anything. Akshayakam, now that the whole task is complete. Akshayakam vasamharate Shruti. Now this is statement of Shruti. So what follows is not statement of Sanat Kumara. What until now statement of Sanat Kumara. Now what follows is statement of Shruti. Tasmai, so Tasmai Mudit Kashayaya Tamasas Param Darshayadi Bhagavan Sanat Kumara. Shruti says that. So Bhashyakara explain. Tasmai Mudit Kashayaya Vakshadihiva Kashaya Ragadveshadi Dosha Satvasya Ranjana Rupatvat Sah Jnana Vairagya Abhyasa Rupa Ksharena Kshalitaha Mruditaha Vinashitaha Yasya Naradasya Tasmai Yogyaya Mudit Kashayaya Tamasaha Avidya Lakshanat Param Paramatha Tattvam Darshayati Darshitavan Ityarthaha. Tasmai Mudit Kashayaya. That is the Visheshana of Sage Narada, the disciple. So Mrudik, what is Kashaya? So Kashaya is the impurity. Varkshadhiva Kashaya. So Vrukshasya idam Varkshyam. The word comes from Vruksha, means so the Varkshadhiva Kashaya, the sap of the tree. So from the skin of the tree comes the sap. And that is often used to color the clothes. The cloth is colored. So in the olden days they did not have these dyes and stuff like that. So whatever natural colors were there, and so whatever dye they got from the tree, that was used for coloring the clothes of the sannyasis, basically, and others also. So similarly also, there is this kashaya, or this color, which also colors the mind, taints the mind. Ragadveshadi dosha kashaya. This case, the color is of the nature of raga, the dosha, the impurities of likes and dislikes. Because mind is, by nature is pure, and has been the impurity is imparted by ragadveshas. So ranjana rupatvat. Ranjana means coloring. So just as the sap of the tree is used to color the cloth, so also ragadveshas color the cloth of the mind. Therefore ragadveshas are called kashaya. So mrudita kashaya, one who is removed, so now the cloth, all these stains are there. Stains of ragadvesha are there on the cloth of the mind. So you have to wash them out. So the one who has washed away all the impurities of the mind. How? Jnana vairagya abhyasa rupa ksharena. Abhyasa kaunte vairagya cha grushyate. But then abhyasa vairagya must follow jnanam. First jnanam must be there, then abhyasa vairagya are there. And so tattva jnanam, then vasanaksha, manonasha, etc. So this is how kshara. So but the soda, those days, or like the soap or the detergent. Detergent of the nature of jnana, vairagya, abhyasa lakshana rupa, detergent of the nature of the knowledge and dispassion and abhyasa, repeated practice. Meaning that the impurity doesn't go away. No, you have to keep on washing it. So ksharitaha, washed. Mruditaha, you remove. Vinashita, destroyed. You wash the cloth, remove that stain, and finally you go on in this process until the stain is completely destroyed, completely removed. Now, it can be done as far as the cloth of the mind is concerned, you can completely clean it. This cloth may or may not be. Since purity is the nature of mind, it is possible to completely remove the impurities of ragadveshas. Yasya mrudi kashayaya. So mruditaha kashaya, yasya saha mrudi kashaya. One is kashaya or impurities all completely removed or washed away. Tasmai naradaya yogyaya. So Sayyid Narada is the fit adhikari. He was always pure, but whatever ahankara he may have had, all of that went away also. So he comes to Sanat Kumar with a pure mind, very open mind, very honest, that I am grieving. Even though I am an accomplished person, I am grieving. And I have come before you at your feet to please give me upadesha so that I become free from grief. Shows purity of the mind. So mriti kashaya yogyaya, meaning that one should become a seeker like Narada, who enjoyed a mind free from all impurities. Tamasas param darshayati Bhagavan Sanat Kumara. So tamasah, avidya lakshana, fifth case, avidya lakshanat param, tamasah param, the other shore of ignorance. Ignorance is like the ocean, other shore of ignorance. Paramartha, what is that? What's the other shore of the ignorance? Knowledge. Paramartha tattvam darshayati darshitavan. Says Sanat Kumara, shore to Narada, the other shore of the ocean of ignorance. Continuing, Kosau Bhagavan. So Shruti says, Bhagavan Sanat Kumar. Shruti says, Kosau, who is the one Who did this to sage Narada? Who made him cross the ocean of ignorance and grief? Who is that? Bhagavan. So he is a Bhagavan. So what definition of Bhagavan? Bhashyakara quotes here from Vishnu Puranam. Utpattim pralayam chaiva bhutanam agatim gatim vetti vidya vidyam cha savacho bhagavaniti. Vetti. So one who knows, he is called Bhagavan. What does he know? Utpattim pralayam chaiva. Who knows the creation as well as the dissolution. Bhutanam. Who knows the creation and the dissolution of all the beings. Agatim gatim. Anandagiri says on the page 340, Agatim gatim ayavyayau. So coming and going of what? So sampat apadav agaminyau. One knows what sampatti and apatti. So what fortune and what calamity are going to also come. One knows so future also. So Utpatti knows the past and the present and the future, and one who is Trikaladarshi, he is Bhagavan. So Vetti Vidyam Avidyam cha, we knows knowledge as well as ignorance. We knows ignorance as ignorance and how to remove that ignorance, because knowledge can be imparted by the one who understands ignorance well. Then he understands the student well, and that's how he is able to impart that knowledge. So here Bhagavan basically is the Guru, all-knowing Guru. Savachya Bhagavan. Says Bhashyakara, Evam Dharma Sanat Kumara hai. Sanat Kumara was the one who possessed his virtues. So tam skanda ityachakshade, tam skanda ityachakshade. So tasya vaishishtyantramah. Not only Sanat Kumara is Bhagavan, but another Vishishta also he has, another qualification also he has. By the way, here the other Tika on the page 342, Vrikshatvagadi Janya. So that sap which is extracted from the bark of the tree. Yatha Vakshadhi Kashaya Vastradi Ranjaka hai. Just as the sap from the bark of the tree is used for coloring the cloth, tatha ragadi sattvasya ranjakaha. Similarly, raga and dvesha also, they color the mind. Adi shabda gairikadi dhatu paraha. So other not only from the sap of the tree, but then other colors also may be there, like certain stones and certain clay. So this Guru is a clay with which the sannyasis, sadhus, they dye their clothes. Tasya Sanat Kumarasya sarvajnitvatham ishanas sarvavidyanamiti shrutyukta parameshvara putratvena shishatvena cha prasiddha sarvajna skandanamna ahaityah. This Skandi Sanat Kumar is sarvajna. That's what is being said by the agatim, gatim, etc. Tasya Sanat Kumarasya sarvajnitvartham. That Sanat Kumara was sarvajna, omniscient. So why is he omniscient? Because he is son of Lord Shiva. Ishana Saravidyanam. That's a description of Lord Shiva, who is the Lord of all the knowledge. It is Shrutukta Parameshvara Putratvena. Skanda is the Putra of Lord Shiva, who is the master of all the knowledge. Shishatvena is also Shishya. So Putra and Shishya of Lord Shiva is Sanat Kumara. And therefore he is Sarvajna. Prasiddha Sarvajna Skanda. So Skanda or Kartika is known as son of Lord Shiva, is Sarvajna, all-knowing. So equating Sanat Kumara with Skanda. Equating Sanat Kumara with Skanda is to impart the omniscience to Sanat Kumara also, that this Guru is omniscient. The most excellent Guru, the Paramapta. So that's what also Shruti says, Tamiti. Bhashyakara says, Tameva Sanat Kumaram Devam Skanda Ityachakshade Kathayante tadvidah tam skanda ityachakshade. Tameva Sanat Kumara, that very Sanat Kumara is Skanda, is called Skanda. Achakshade tadvidah. Those who know, they call this Sanat Kumara as Skanda. So in your footnote on the page 342, Tam Skanda iti Achakshade iti, that they call Sanat Kumara as Skanda. How did Sanat Kumara become Skanda? Tathai Tripura, amazing Puranas are there. There is so much wealth, so many Puranas, so many stories are there. Tathai Tripura Rahasya. So in the text called Tripura Rahasya, Mahatmya Khanda, in the Mahatmya Khanda, Saptatrimshadhyaya, in the Adhya 37th chapter, Brahmaputra Sanat Kumarakhyo Rushi. It is well known that Sanat Kumara is the Manasaputra of Brahmaji. So, Brahmaputra, son of Brahmaji, Sanat Kumarakhyo Rushi, the sage named Sanat Kumara. Rushabha Parvate Vasan, he was dwelling in the mountain called Rushabha. Tatra Agatam Swapitaram Brahmanam Papracha. Someday, Brahmaji himself visited Sanat Kumara, his son. Sanat Kumara asked his father, He Pitah, Maya Swapne Devasuranam Mahadyuddham Tatra Matkrita Danavadasya Drushtah. O revered father, O revered sir, the other day in the dream, I experienced what? Mahadyuddham, a great battle. Devasuranam, in my dream, I saw a great battle between the Devatas and Asuras, gods and demons. Matkrita Danavadasya, and I saw myself as destroying the demons. That's how I saw. This Brahmana Rishi, he saw this. Tasyakam Karanam. What can be the reason for this? How can I be the destroyer of these Danavas? Brahma Avadata. Then Brahmaji replied, Putra Purva Janmani Tvam Viprakule Janitva. In the previous birth, before you became my son, you were born in the family of Brahmana. Devasuranam Yuddham Shrutva. As a child of the Brahmanas, he must be listening to all these Puranas and Kathas and listening to these Devatas and Asuras, gods and demons. Swam Asuran Jedam Kruta Sankalpa. See, children have all kinds of things. When you hear, then you want to be like Arjuna, you want to be like this. So that's what the child now thinks. Similarly, this Brahmana boy, listening to this Devasura Sangrama, because you keep fighting with Narayana. What happens when you read Ramayana as a child? You identify with Rama and you keep fighting and you want to, Rama, or Arjuna you identify and you want him to throw this weapon and that weapon. When he does it, then you become so excited. When Arjuna is defeated, then you become so sad. So that's how children are. That's the whole idea of all these stories also. So Swam Asuran Jetum Kruta Sankalpa, as a child, you yourself did the resolve that I am going to destroy these demons. Ajñārādhanam kurvāṇah eva mrutah. As a Brahmana, he was a very pious person also, and therefore worshipping Agni, meaning performing his nitya karma, etc. That's how he died. Tatah upasana prabhavat mo putratvena sanjatah. So because of the worship, the power of the worship that you perform in the previous birth, you are born as my son. Tat Purva Vasanaya, you are my son now, and then Vasana is there. When you you resolved, to destroy these demons. So Purva Janma Vasanaya Tvaya Idrusham Drushtam. So Vasana of the Purva Janma, earlier birth, manifested as a dream. So what you saw in the dream is the result of the Vasana, the desire that you entertained in the past birth. Tvam swechaya anyat janma labdva tatsaram sadharishyasi. O my son, you will now be born by your desire. Meaning you will with your own sweet will take new birth. And tatsarams, and whatever you resolved, to destroy the demons, all of that you will accomplish. Iti uktva nirgatah. Having said this, Brahmaji left. Tato gacchati kale. And some time elapsed. Kadachit, at once upon a time, Bhagavan Shankara Parvatyasa tam desham ajagama, because Rishabha Parvata. So maybe on the tour, so Lord Shiva and Parvati must be perhaps, just, I guess, wandering around, touring around, and they happen to come to this place where Sanat Kumara is. Anandamagnam kimapi paricharyadim akurvanam stabdam tam drishtva. So Lord Shiva and Parvati comes and this sage is sitting there. Anandamagnam, absorbing his own ananda. And therefore, he is like, he's completely stunned. He is motionless. So even when they come, he does not respond in any way because he is so absorbed in his ananda, in his swarupa ananda. Kimavi paricharyadikam akurvanam. Otherwise, Bhagavan comes to a place, naturally you will rush and you will, treat them properly. No such thing happened from Sanat Kumara. Stabdam tam drishtva. So Sanat Kumara is stabda, is motionless, is unresponsive, and it can be also interpreted as he is stiff, he is arrogant, he does not even bend down, he does not even bother to show the courtesy of treating or welcoming the guests. Kupitopi Bhagavan. So actually in his mind, Lord Shiva was quite upset, quite angry, but he saumya vacha. But in a very sweet, sweet words, varam abhishtam dadamite. In fact, Lord Shiva says that I will give you your desired boon. Iti upachandayat. And so he flattered Sanat Kumara. Actually inside he was upset, Lord Shiva, but outwardly he flattered and okay, I will give you whatever boon you want. Okay? Sanat Kumarastu, look at the arrogance of this Sanat Kumara. Ahamevate varam dadyamiti. So I will give you a boon, he says to Lord Shiva. Look at him. Bhagavan, so Lord Shiva says, okay. Taritvam ma putro bhavati varam vavre. Lord Shiva also accepted that vardhanam and says, Tvam tarhi tvam ma putro bhava. All right, then you become my son. So that's the boon I am asking. Tadangi krutya. All right. Sanat Kumara accepted that. Aham tava ayam nija putro bhavishyami. I'll become your son, but Manasa putra, not Yonija. I will not be born through womb. I'll become your son, all right, but not born through womb. That's impure birth. So I'll have pure birth. But Parvati is there. Devyatu swasharira samanna bhave mat putratvam dhudam na bhavishyati. So he may be son of Lord Shiva, but Parvati also wants him to be her son. And unless you are associated with my body, I cannot feel like you are my son. And therefore, iti ukte Sanat Kumara. So when Devi Parvati said, then Sanat Kumara says this. Yatra Devi Shariram Visrakshati Tatra Sharavanam Utpatsyade Tadvane Aham Janmalabheyam iti. So Yatra Devi Shariram Visrakshati. So wherever the Devi will cast off her body, Tatra Sharavanam Utpatsyate, there will be a Vanam. Sharavanam, the now becomes Sharavana. It is Sharavanam. Shara means all these reeds, And the whole forest of the reeds are there. That grass that grows, stiff grass, reeds, is called Shara. Shara is like an arrow, So it's a very sharp grass. So there will be a whole forest of that Shara or that grass or reeds wherever the Devi discards her body. Tatra tadvane aham janma labhayam. I will be born in that Sharavana. So it's called Sharavana Bhava. So one of the names of Kartika is Sharavana Bhava. It's a long story of how the Virya of Lord Shiva is and these Krutikas are there, all these, constellations are there. So then 6 Krutikas were there as fish and they consumed that. And that is why in this Vanam, forest, this child was born. Something like that. So Sharavana Bhava. And since he had 6 mothers, he was born with 6 faces, So that's why he said Shanmukha. Iti tamapi santvayamasa. So he consoled Lord Shiva also, I will become your son, and said to Parvati that I will also be in a way associated with the body by being associated with Vanam, which will grow where a body will fall. Tata kadachit Sharavane skando jata. Saying Sanat Kumara was born as Skanda or Kartikeya in that Sharavanam, in that forest of reeds. Devakaryam cha Asura Samharatikam Akarod, well known that he was born basically for killing Tarakasura, and that's what he did. So Senani Nam Ham Skanda, he became the Sena, this Senapati. He became the commander general of the Devata, the army of Devatas. So how Sanat Kumara is called Skanda, that's the story here. And then the last sentence is Dvirvachanam Adhyaya Parisamaptyartham Tam Skanda iti achakshate Dvirvachanam. So this sentence is repeated for the Adhyaya Parisamaptyartham, that is for conclusion of this chapter. The Shruti repeats that sentence, So that's for the conclusion of this teaching also, the 7th chapter. Iti Chāndogyopaniṣadi Saptamadhyayasya Shadvimshaya Khanda. Iti Chāndogyopaniṣad Brahmane Saptamodhyaya Samapta. The 7th chapter is complete. Iti Chāndogyopaniṣad Shankaravasya Saptamadhyaya Shadvimshaya Khanda. The Shankaravasya and Tippani and Tika and all of this also becomes concluded here. It's a great, to be able to study this, we must enjoy some grace, no doubt, because uninterrupted study. There are interruptions of days, but no other obstacles are there, And so, at the same time, we have to study at our own pace, because there is no timeline. So you take your own time, and thus you enjoy what you do. Because wherever these studies do take place, they don't have this much time. They generally have some 3 years, 2 years, this, that, or to be finished, and sometimes the disciples don't have this much time. Even Kailas Ashram also, the sannyasis come and go, so they don't have this much time. So they want to finish it off quickly so that at least they get something. And therefore, we have a unique situation here, where we can go on with years and years together. I don't know when we started this Upanishad, but anyway, and so this leisure we have. And 2003? 2008 we started? Okay, so 7 years ago. 1/9/2008, look at that. So 1st September 2008 when we started our session, that's when this Upanishad must have been started. Okay. So another 1 or 2 years, a couple of years will go on, still we have the 8th chapter to go, So 7 years have already passed. And so all we can do is what? Namah Paramurshibhyah, Namah Paramurshibhyah. We can only pray and we can salute and express our gratitude, to all the gurus. Sadashiva Samanambham, Shankaracharya Madhyamam, Asmadacharya Paryantam, Vande Guru Paramparam. That's all we can do. Namaskara is all we can do, because there is nothing more that this cannot be done by ourselves or on our qualification, our strength at all. It has to be purely nothing but the flow of grace. And we are happy, we are very fortunate that we enjoy that grace from all the parampara. And so that's our great fortune, and we take advantage of that fortune as best as we can. With that, we will conclude this morning. Om Apyayantu Mamangani Vak Pranaschakshushrotramatho Balamindriyani cha Sarvani Sarvam Brahma Upanishadam Maham Brahma Nirakuryam Mama Brahma Nirakarod Anirakaranamastva Nirakaranam Me Astu तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं नारायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते य उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते तस्योपव्याख्यानम् So from this morning, we are starting the 8th chapter of the Chāndogyopaniṣad, Ashtamodhyaya. In this particular chapter, the first half of the chapter is devoted to upasana or meditation. It's called Dahara Upasana, meditating upon Param Brahma as located in, as reflected in, or as manifesting in the Dahara, in the very small space which obtains in the heart. So heart and the very small and subtle space. There is the heart, then there is a space on the size of a thumb, which is the physical or the bhautika akasha. In that, of course, there is the mind, which is the location in the heart, and then that is where is consciousness reflected in the mind, which is said to be located in this space in the heart. So this Dahara Upasana, meditating upon Paramatma, meditating upon God, Ishvara, in the space, that is called Dahara because it's a very small space. Dahara means small, very small space. So the meditation upon Brahman in the space within the heart is what is enjoined here, prescribed here. And it is done in several other places also, as we'll see. And then, after Upasana, comes the teaching of the Paramatma, who is, so, through the Upadhi, what we call Upadhi means through the location. Ishvara or Bhagavan is located in the heart. In that sense, we are first meditating upon it. And then, the one that is located, who is said to be located in the heart, is really free from any idea of location or space or time. So for meditation, we superimpose the ideas of location, the size as though is very small. So these ideas or gunas or attributes are superimposed upon Brahman to facilitate the meditation. So this has always been the method even from the Vedic times. And what we superimpose may keep on changing, but meditating upon Ishvara as Saguna, as possessed of gunas or qualities or attributes or upadhi, the limiting adjuncts, is a very common practice right from the Vedas. Later on came also the Murti Puja, where we superimpose something very tangible upon Bhagavan or Ishvara. So when the mind is very subtle, then the subtle superimpositions are adequate. But when the mind is not subtle, then we need something tangible to superimpose. So we have these tangible murtis or images. But the principle essentially is to meditate upon Ishvara with attributes. Because Vedas declare that all there is Ishvara. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. What is Brahman? So question is whether Brahman is Sagunam or Nirgunam, Sakaram or Nirakaram. That question does not arise as far as the Vedic teaching is concerned, because the Akara also is nothing but Brahman. So regardless of whatever you worship and however you worship, it is worship of Bhagavan, Ishvara or Brahman. So through gunas also, through attributes also, we are worshipping the same principle, same consciousness, same self, same Brahman. So this is a step before the knowledge. And this tunes up the mind. It becomes easier to tune up the mind to Ishvara with upadhi, with attributes. Like seeing an actor with his costume. And then you can meditate in your mind about the actor without the costume. So when you tune up your mind to the actor with costume, then it becomes possible to delete the costume and then see the actor. That will be knowledge. So here also first tuning of the mind with Ishvara. And before this dhyana also comes the karma. So karma is the more tangible way of tuning up with Ishvara. Dhyana means the subtler way of tuning with Ishvara. And knowledge, of course, is the subtlest way of seeing the oneness with Ishvara. In Karma Yoga and in Upasana or meditation, a duality is there between the devotee and Bhagavan. In the final stage, that duality also is let go, dropped, and you see the oneness which is highest truth. So at every level we are worshipping the truth. First, the truth manifests before us in the attributes, in the names and forms, in the upadhi. There is also Satyam. So in Satyasya Satyam. So Prana vai Satyam, Esha Tesham. So this Brahma Bhagavan is Satyam, the truth of the truth. So this is also truth of a lower nature. Vyavaharika Satyam is there, but Satyatvam, because everything is Satyam in that sense, because the Satya Swarup Paramatma is there everywhere. So there are two ways of describing Jagat. One is it is Mithya, from the standpoint of name and form. Other is it is Satyam, from the standpoint of the Adhishtanam, or the truth which the name and form manifest. So that way we have no difficulty at all. We are not going to be misguided. Other people feel that this Murti Puja and all this stuff misguides you, distracts you from Ishvara. But that is because there is a certain idea of Ishvara being simply creator, nimitta karan, and separate from the Jagat, separate from name and form. Therefore, there is no relationship between the name and form and Ishvara, who is transcendental reality. For us, Ishvara is not only transcendental, also immanent. So everything, nothing is apart from Ishvara. Therefore, you can reach Ishvara through anything. And the reason for giving specific meditations is because it is easier for the mind to meditate upon Ishvara when it sees the glories of Ishvara. So usually it is Ishvara or Paramatma with glories. That is what we meditate upon, because the glories attract us. As the Swami used to say, when you go to a temple in South India, where the sanctum is very dark, only one oil lamp is there, and when you're going from outside, you tune up your eyes. The first thing that attracts are all the ornaments on the image, which are all shining, reflecting in that one light of lamp. And from that, then that is what attracts you. That's what also inspires you or motivates you to tune up with that. And then you can see the form of the Lord. That is why very commonly describing the vibhutis, the glories. In many places in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes his own glories or glories of the Lord. So that becomes the attracting point. Because glories also are Lord. Lord manifests his glories. Little diluted Lord, you must say. What is nothing but Ishvara. So you can never go wrong regardless of how you worship Ishvara. Because what is Ishvara? Our Swami used to say that even a milestone, people looks like a Shivlinga. People can worship also. That is Shivlinga. Whatever. So in this chapter, the first half is the Upasana and second half is Brahma Vidya. So Narendra Puri, he starts with an invocation. Om Yajñātmā Sarvabhūtānām Pāpmalepa Upade Satyakamadi Soham Dahara Ishvaraha. So referring to what the Upanishad in fact teaches you, we will see here how Saguna Brahma is described as So if you look at page right here, 351, the passage number 5, there it is described as Esha, in the second, Esha Atma, Apahata Papma, Vijaraha, Vimrutyuhu, Vishokaha, Vijigitsaha, Apipasaha, Satyakamaha, Satyasankalpaha. So how the Atma is meditated of Esha Atma, Apahata Papma, devoid of all the papa of the sins, so is sinless. Vijaraha, there is no sin in Atma. Vijaraha, no jara, no decrepitude. Vimrityu, devoid of mrityu, the death. Vishokaha, devoid of shoka or grief. Vijigitsaha, devoid of hunger. Apipasaha, devoid of thirst. Satyakamaha, one who is unfailing calm nor desires. Satyasankalpaha, of unfailing will. So these are the attributes that are superimposed upon Brahman. So Narendra Puri refers to that. Papmalepadi varjitaha. That varjitaha, devoid of lepa, the tainting of papa of the sin. So apahara papma. And all these other things that we talked about. Apahara papma, vijara, vimrutyuhu, vishokaha. Upade, Satyakamade, Satyakama, Satyasankalpa, because Upadi of unfailing desires or unfailing resolve or will also is sustained by the Upadi. Soham Dahara Ishvara, that Dahara Ishvara who is extremely minute, because Ishvara is meditated upon as very minute, in a very minute space. Sarvabhutanam Atma. So Yajñātma Sarvabhutanam. So one who is the Yajñātma, Atma nature of Yajña of all the beings. So the Soham Dahara Ishvara, that Ishvara who is this Dahara or minute, that I am. Referring to the Upasana here. We're going to Anandagiri, it says, so because Anandagiri essentially includes what Narendra Puri says, that's why we don't separately read, unless Narendra Puri has something also different, then only we read, otherwise Anandagiri essentially includes. So says Anandagiri, Purvasmin Adhyayadvaye Nirvishesham Atma Tattvam Anavacchinnam Sadananda Ekadanam Aveditam. Purvasmin Adhyayadvaye, in the preceding 2 chapters, the 6th chapter and the 7th chapter, Nirvishesham Atma Tattvam. The subject matter of both the chapters was Atma Tattvam, Nirvishesham. There is the self, there are all Visheshas or all the attributes. Anavacchinnam, avachcheda, all limitation, limitless, unconditioned. Sadananda Ekatanam is Sat and Ananda. So Atma was presented as Sat in the 6th chapter, Ananda in the 7th chapter. Yovo Bhuma Tat Sukham, Nalpe Sukham Asti. Sadananda Ekatanam, homogeneous. So Ekatanam, homogeneous, non-dual, nothing but Sat, nothing but Ananda. Aveditam. So this is what has been in fact the taught, the subject matter in the first 2 chapters. Tathacha Upanishad Arambe Charitarthe. Therefore, the purpose of commencing the Upanishad has already been served. Charitarthe. The purpose of Upanishad is to communicate or teach. The Sadananda Atma, where is one non-dual. Because knowing that Atma, Tarit Shokam Atmavit, one crosses the ocean of grief. Yogi Bhuma Tat Sukham, one attains Ananda. Therefore, the cessation from all the sorrow and attainment of Ananda, which is the purpose of life called moksha. So, Upanishadarambe Charitarthe. So, whatever was necessary for attaining moksha, namely the nature of the knowledge and also the phalam, the result, namely Jivan Mukti, Videha Mukti, all of these was delineated in the earlier two chapters. Kim avashishyate yadatam adhyayantaram. So what remains now that you are starting this new chapter? What remains now to be said? Because whatever had to be said is already been said. The ashankyaha yadyapeti. So with this ashanka also Bhashyakara connects the previous two chapters with this chapter with this ashanka. So Shanka also, or the doubt also can become the basis of the new discussion. So sometimes akshepa sangatihi, you question what is the point in starting the new thing, and then you say how this serves that point. See, that is because Bhashyakara takes the whole text as one text. If you take every chapter independently, then there is no need to connect them. Which is what perhaps it is, So maybe every teaching is independent, is a collection of teaching. I mean, that is what perhaps is one view. But if you accept Shruti as one teacher, then same Shruti talks through, say, Uddalaka or say Sanat Kumara, other different Shruti. In that case, you have to connect them. Why the 7th chapter follows the 6th and whatever. So everywhere Bhashyakara has given Sangati or connection from one chapter to the other, where we may or may not see the connection, but he shows the connection. Now going to Abhinava, Narayananandendra Saraswati Tika. Says Shashthe Adhyaye Brahmana Sadrupatvam Nirdharya. A little more detail. Shashthe Adhyaye Brahmana Sadrupatvam Nirdharya. Nirdharya, having ascertained Sadrupatvam, of the nature of Sat or existence, Brahmana of Brahman. So the burden of the 6th chapter was to ascertain that Brahman is of the nature of Sat, existence. So Brahman is of course Satyam Jnanam Anantam or Satchit Anandam, of which Sat was the emphasis in the 6th chapter. Ekatva advitiyatvadikam nirdharitam. The Brahman is Sat. It necessarily has to be Ekam, one, Advitiyam, non-dual. Sajatiya, Aswagata, Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Bhedarahitam. Ekameva Advitiyam. So that Brahman is Sat, one without a second. Divided of this Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata, Bheda, Nirdharitam. So this was ascertained in the 6th chapter. Saptame Tasya, now that's very important, of the same Brahman. Don't think that the 7th chapter is a different Upanishad talking about a different thing, same thing. Historians may say that they are talking about different things in different Upanishads, different chapters, etc. But yes, Saptame Tasya, the same Brahman, which was ascertained that Sada Sat Saikamiva Advitiyam Sat. Yatra Nanyat Pashyat Ityadina Advitiyatva Anuvadena. So when Upanishad 7th chapter said, Yatra Nanyat Pashyati, Nanyat Shranati, Nanyat Vijanati Sabhuma. So that is Bhuma where one does not see the other, does not hear the other, does not know the other. Meaning where there is absence of the other. Meaning what? There is only oneness or non-duality. So that was a way of describing Brahman or Bhuma as non-dual. But that is not new. The non-duality was already asserted in the 6th chapter. So Anuvadena. That part was Anuvada, reiteration, not new. But then so by Anuvada you say that we are talking about the same Sat. Because in the 6th chapter, the Sat was described as non-dual. In the 7th chapter, the Bhuma is described as non-dual. Meaning that Tasya, we are not talking about the same truth, not something else. So by the Anuvada of non-duality, it is established that 7th chapter also talks about the same principle that the 6th chapter talked about. And then says something more. Yo vai bhuma tat sukham ityadina. That which is bhuma is sukham, nadape sukham asti. Yo vai bhuma tad amritam. So happiness, immortality. There is no happiness in anything that is limited. What is limited is martyam, mortal. Ityadina ananda rupatum pradhanyini nirdharitam. So idea in the 7th chapter, several things are said. What is the primary purpose of 7th chapter? Ananda rupatvena nirdharanam. Same Brahman which was asserted as the nature of Sat and non-dual is asserted as Ananda, as happiness, as fullness. So pradhanyana. Even though 7th chapter also talks about non-duality, that part is only Anuvada. So that's not a new contribution. The new contribution or the unique contribution of Purvata. The unique contribution of the 7th chapter was to present Brahman as Ananda Rupam, of the nature of Ananda. So Sat and Ananda, both of these are ascertained with reference to Brahman. Atha idanim chidrupatam ashtamadhyaya arabhyate. 7th chapter now, Chidrupatam. Sat and Ananda are covered. Chit are the consciousness or the nature of knowledge. Satyam Jnanamanandam. So knowledge or consciousness emphasis on the 8th chapter. Yesha Akshini Purusho Drishyate Ityadina Avasthatre Sakshanam Uktva. Later on, when the Upanishad talks about Brahma Vidya, we see how Indra, the king of the Devatas, Virochan, the king of the demons, how both of them approach Prajapati and seeking the knowledge of the self. And Prajapati instructs. Yesha Akshin Purusha Drishyate. Instruction was the Purusha, the consciousness that obtains in the right eye. Meaning the waker consciousness, and the consciousness that manifests as waker and dreamer and sleeper. That's how in the first instruction it was the consciousness manifests as a waker. Second instruction manifests as a dreamer. Third instruction manifests as the sleeper. Fourth instruction, the one who transcends all the 3 states. So that's a krama. This is order of teaching that is followed in the Upanishad section of the 8th chapter. So says, Ityadina avasthatra sakshana muktva. Meaning that Brahman is presented as avasthatra sakshi. So, yes, swapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam. So one who knows or one who illumines is swapna jagrata sushuptam. Avasthatra saksham uktva. The witness or illuminator of all the 3 states. Jagra swapna sushuptyadi prapancham yat prakasade tad brahmaham idijñātva. The illumines the jagra swapna sushupti. So first is presented as the avasthatra sakshi. Then tasya ashariram vasantam na priya priyas prushatah. In the fourth instruction given to Indra, Iti avasthadaram apodhya. The avasthadara, the three states of waking, dream and deep sleep are negated in Brahman. बरोबर છે વાત તો બરોબર છે તો ગળાની તકલીફ છે અવાજની તકલીફ નથી. So avasthatam apodhya, negating the three states in Brahman by saying ashariram vavasantam na priya priyas prushatah. One who is free from the identification of sharira, where sharira includes the sthula shariram, sukshma shariram, Karana Shariram, all the three. So therefore one who is free from the identification with the three bodies and therefore identification with the three states. To that person, Priya Priya Nas Prajata. Sa Shariram, the one who is identified with Sharira can never be free from the attack of Raga Dvesha or attack of Ishta and Ishta, desirable and undesirable. One who is free from the identification of the body, to that person, to that wise person, the desirable and undesirable, they don't touch because their scope is only up to Sharira. And the agreeable and disagreeable, desirable and undesirable touch you, affect you only if you are identified with the Sharira. If you are not, they don't affect you. So that way saying that Atma is not subject to being affected by the dvandva of anukula and pratikula, of desirable and undesirable. Atma is untouched, untainted by this pair of opposites. Avasthatram apodhya param jyoti upasampadya svena rupena abhinishpadyate sa uttamah purushah. For that you will go all the way to page 416. It comes here also, in Upasana also. But in 416 when they talk of Brahma Vidya, now where are we? Evameveshva samprasadha asmat sharirat samutthaya param jyoti upasampadya svena rupena abhinishpadyate sa uttamah purushah. Esha samprasada, the serene one, samprasada, will say, the one with a deep sleep or one with the nature of serenity. Asma Sharira Dosthaya, the prajna with the serene Asma Sharira arising from, becoming free from the identification of the Sharira of the body. Param Jyoti Upasampadya, attaining one's own nature, which is Param Jyoti, the supreme light of consciousness. Svena Rupena Abhinishpadyate, becomes established in its own nature. So one who was identified with the deep sleep, who was there was some prasad, because in deep sleep there is total serenity. Asma Sharirat Samutthaya, even arising from this body, there is identification from there also. Param Jyoti Upasampadya, attaining its own nature of Param Jyoti, or what you call supreme consciousness. Svena Rupena Abhinishpadyate, having become free from the identification of the gross, subtle and causal bodies, he becomes established in his own nature of supreme consciousness. The waking also is consciousness. Subtler than that is the dream consciousness. Subtler than is the causal, the supreme consciousness, this adhisthana. So, Uttamah Purusha. So, this is Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna, and then Uttamah Purusha. So, there also the emphasis was Param Jyoti Upasampadya, attaining one's nature of the Param Jyoti. Jyoti means light, is a consciousness, the supreme consciousness. So coming back to the Tika, Param Jyoti Upasampadya Sveda Rupena Avinishpadyate. He becomes established in his own nature or supreme consciousness. So Uttama Purusha is a supreme person. So Vishwa Tejasa Prajna, he is Uttama Purusha or Purushottama. So Bhagavad Gita describes the same Uttama Purusha as Yasmat Ksharam Akshara Vichottama. And so we are that which transcends Kshara and Akshara. Here the Kshara is described as both waker and dream comes Kshara. Deep sleep is Akshara. The Karyam is Kshara, the Karanam is Akshara. And so Uttama Purusha, the one that transcends both Kshara and Akshara, all the three stages at this time. Iri Parajyotishagnita Saprakasa Brahmatokte. So this Tikakara says how? Pradhanyena. The emphasis in this chapter is to emphasize the Chaitanyatvam, the consciousness that Brahman is. Other things also we say Pradhanyena. Primarily this is what is conveyed here. Athayo Veda idam jigrana ityadina. Now you have to go to page, what is it, 422. See the first one. Yo Veda idam jigrana iti sa atma gandhaya granam. Athayo Veda idam abhivyaharana iti sa atma abhivyaharaya. Yo Veda idam shrunavaneti sa atma shravanaya shrutram. So Yo Veda idam jigranayati. Who thinks like this, I'm going to smell this. Sa atma. So one who says the things, I'm going to smell, is atma. Gandhaya granam. So granam, the organ of the perception of the smell, is for smelling. Athayo Veda idam abhivyaharani. The one who says things like this, I'm now going to talk. I'm talking. Sa Atma, that is Atma. So one who is smelling also is Atma. One is talking also is Atma. So who says Gandhaya Grana? The organ of the smell is for smelling. Atma doesn't smell. It is the organ of smell that smells. Organ of speech that speaks. So, Avivyaharaya Vag. The organ of speech is meant for speaking. Athayo Veda idam shrunavaneti. One thinks now, I want to listen. So, Atma is also Atma. Shravanaya Shrotram. The organ of hearing is meant for hearing. So then coming back here, Athayo Veda idam jigrane ityadina ghrātādi triputi sakshitva uktescha. So ghrāta, vakta, shrota, three things I mentioned. So Atma, one who says, because it is clearly said that gandhaya ghrana, the organ of smell, the nose is meant for smelling, not Atma. And Abhivyaharaya Vag, the speech is meant for speaking. Shravanaya Shrotam, the Shrotra is meant for hearing. So Atma is not hearer, or speaker, or smeller. So Ghatradi Tripudi Sakshit Ukta. Sakshit Ukta Atma is the Sakshi of the Grata and what? The Shrota and the Vakta. And Sakshi means one who illumines. So Chidrupatva Pratipadana. That way also the Chidrupatva. So describing Atma as Sakshi or witness, witness means one that illumines. So describing Atma as the illuminator of all his functions, also the purpose is to point out that Atma is Sakshi of the nature of consciousness. So Chidrupatva Pratipadana. In that passage also, in that way also, that Atma is consciousness is what is delineated. Now Sadrupa, 6th chapter. Anandrupa, 7th chapter. Chidrupa, 8th chapter. So this is what this Tikakara established here. Tasyevam Sachidanand Advitiyasya. And again, the Advitiyatvam, the non-duality, was also taught in the 6th chapter as well as the 7th chapter. Tasyevam Sachidananda Advitiyasya Brahmana. Or this Brahman, there is Sachit Anandam and Advitiya, one without a second. Hrudaya Pundarika Desha Sambandha. This chapter says, however, Brahman such as that is located in the lotus of the heart. How can it be? Satyakamadi Gunavatvam, Satyakamaha, Satyasankalpaha. The Brahman is possessed of the unfailing desires, unfailing resolve. Tattvamasi, that thou art, Atma Adhastat, Param Jyot, so Atma Adhastat, Atma alone is idam sam, all of this. Param Jyoti, Upasampadya, as we saw. So Uttamah Puriti Pratyek Abhinnatvena Uttasya. So Atma, that is now described as associated with the lotus of the heart and possessed the attributes of Satyakamatvam, Satyasankalpatvam. Whether Atma, the all Brahman, that is described as Abhinnam, as non-separate from Pratyek or Pratyekatma, meaning described as the very self. Of that, Gantavyatvam, that the Upasana means you reach this. The question of gati or reaching comes only in meditation, because the meditation involves duality, and all the reaching of the ganta and the gamanam and the gantavya. Ganta, the one who is going. Gantavya, the destination. Gamanam is the going. All of this comes only in duality. So all of that remains even the highest level in the upasana. So Gantavyatvam, then say the Pitrulokama. If he desires to enjoy Pitrus or means, then he enjoys them. So this is a description of the wise person. We will be told, the one who knows this Atma, which is the Avasthatara Sakshi, primarily Avasthatara Sakshi, is what is taught in the 8th chapter. That wise person, say the Pitrulokama. If that wise person desires to enjoy Pitrus or the mains, etc., then he does it. The Pitrus appear before him, he enjoys them. Ityadana Pitradi Phalamcha na yujyade. So in the non-dual Brahman, which is devoid of the ideas of the goer and the going, how can there be going in non-dual Brahman? Because I already am that. So when you say that I am already Brahman, there is a question of going to Brahman. And you are talking about going to Brahman. When I am Ananda, where is the desire for enjoying Pitrus, etc.? There is no question. But this is, if he desires to enjoy the Pitrus, the mains. Na yujyate. So Brahman, that has been delineated as Satchidananda Advitiyam. In that, this statement that Brahman is reached, or Brahman, that one attains whatever happiness one wants, seems to be incongruent, not consistent. Na yujyate. So this is incongruent. Iti ashankya yad atma apahata papma ityatah prattanasya. So again, as we said, on the page 351 we just read, 351, yeah, Atma in the Upasana section. ya atma apahata papma vijara vimrutyuhu. Or it can be the same statement comes in the Upanishad section, the 7th chapter also. So, same statement you will see on the page 381. So, up to first 6 these sections is the Upasana. From 7th section starts the Brahma Vidya. So, ya atma apahat. So, what was meditated earlier as apahatma, vijara, vimrutyuhu, vishoka is now to be known. Vijnasatavya, anveshtavya is to be inquired into, is to be known. So all the text of this 8th chapter up to the first 6 chapters, which are the upasana. So ya atma ityata praktanasya. The first 6 khanda of the sections that describe the Atma as located in the lotus of the heart for the purpose of meditation. Deshadi Sambandha Pratipadakasya Granthasya. First 6 chapters present the Atma as located in the lotus of the heart. So some desha is as places there. Then also in Dahara is very minute, the space is there. The place or location is the heart, and the size of the minute space, so the space also is there. Location is there, space is there, etc. So, Deshadi Sambandha Pratipadakasya Granthasya. So, first 6 sections tell us how Atma is Desha, located, is the size of this small, very minute space. Purvokta Brahma Pratipatti Asamarthan. So the meditation upon same Brahman in the lotus of the heart is meant for what? Asamarthan Prati, Mandan Prati. Those who are dull-weighted. Swamiji's word, those who do not have the matured intellect, who are not evolved enough to grasp the Brahma Vidya. For them, Brahma Pratipatti Asamarthan. So those who listen to the 6th chapter and 7th chapter and still not gain the knowledge of Brahman. Like after the 15th chapter of Gita comes the 16th chapter, 17th chapter, talking about the Daivija, Daivasura, Sampat, etc. And then so prescribing how you should cultivate the divine wealth. So for those who did not gain that knowledge, you need some preparation. Similarly also, those who are not enlightened, by listening to the 6th and 7th chapters, for them the preparation for the knowledge, which is the upasana. Upasana is possible also with karma yoga, but still here upasana. Upanishads don't talk about karma yoga, they do talk about upasana as preparation of mind. Purvokta Brahma Pratipatti Asamarthan Prati Mandan Prati. For those who are the lowest kind of, the mumuksha is all right, but not quite ready to grasp the teaching. Anye tvem ajanantah shrutva nyebhya upasate te vichāvitarantyeva mrityum shri parayana. Others ajanantah, they do not, by Sankhya, Atma, Viveka, they do not know. Shrutvan, the upasate, then they meditate upon same Brahman. For that you must get the instruction from the teacher. So listening from the teacher, the method of meditation, then they perform meditation, and through that they get the preparation of knowledge and then come to know. Deshadi arupena tad vishishta brahmopasti vidhanarthatvat. For meditation, you require the attributes. That's where the mind can dwell. So meditation requires dwelling of the mind. And mind requires some hold. such as a name or form or attributes. So deshadi aropena, superimposing the location, superimposing the size, etc. Tad Vishishta Brahmopasti Vidhana. So therefore, even the first 6 chapters of the 8th chapter, that's the question. Why doesn't the Upanishad, even if you want to talk about Brahman, why don't you start the 7th khanda? That okay, Sat has been described, the Ananda is being described. But here on the other hand, in the first 6 sections, we have the meditation. What is the purpose? Is for preparation of the knowledge imparted in the first 2 chapters and then later part of the 8th chapter. So tad Vishishta Brahmopasti Vidhanarthatvam. So enjoining the upasana of Brahman, the qualified Brahman. So that's the purpose, Yadyapi. That's what Bhashyakara says. So go to the Bhashya. Yadyapi Digdeshakala Veda Shunyam Brahma Sat Ekameva Dvitiyam Atmavedam Sarvamiti Shashta Saptamayoho Adhigatam Tathapi Iha Mandabuddhinam Digdeshadi Bhedavat Vastu Ityevam Bhavita Buddhi न शक्यते सहसा परमार्थ विषया कर्तुम् इति अनधिगम्य च ब्रह्म न पुरुषार्थ सिद्धिः इति तदधिगमाय हृदय पुंडरीक देशः उपदेष्टव्यः. So Shruti naturally keeps the student or the jignasu in the mind, moksha in the mind. And Shruti provides whatever means are required for the mumuksh to achieve the purpose. So that is the very uniqueness of the Vedic Dharma, where all the seekers are taken care of. So there is the prescription of the means for every seeker, so that you can climb the steps of self-growth or self-development, ultimately become fit for the knowledge of the transcendental. So in this saguna of the immanent, you have to climb up and gain subtlety to be able to gain the knowledge of Brahman that is subtler than the subtlest. So therefore, tat adhigamaya, for knowing Brahman such as that, Hrudaya Pundarika Desha Upadeshtabhya. Upadeshtabhya has to be taught, has to be instructed. What? Hrudaya Pundarika Desha. So, the Desha, the location here, of Hrudaya Pundarika, of the lotus of the heart. Location and then also the size, the very minute space. So going back to Bhashya, Yadyapi Digdesha Kaladi Bheda Shunyam Brahma. Yadyapi, even though, so this is Akshepa. Even though this is so still, that's how Brahma Sutra starts with Akshepa Sangati. Even though there is no possibility that there can be identification of Atma and Anatma because they are totally different locus, loci. The Anatma never touches the Atma, and Anatma cannot exist where the Atma is, and there is no way, if the two things are together, then you can identify with them or confuse the two as one, but they are not together. Thus we do not see the scope at all of the Atma identifying the Anatma. So this is impossible and still made possible. Therefore Maya comes in right away. So Maya makes possible or creates appearance of what is not possible. So the akshepa here, so yadyapi digdesha kaladi bheda shunyam brahma. Brahman is bheda shunyam. You got a bheda or the division, or the duality, or the mutual exclusion. How? Why do you say that? Sat ekam advitiyat, asat ekam advitiyam. It is Sat existence. Ekam one, non-dual, devoid of the sajatiya, vijatiya, svagata, bheda. So bheda shunyam. What bheda shunyam? Svagata, sajatiya, vijatiya, bheda shunyam. Advitiyam, non-dual. Atma evaidam sarvam. All of this is nothing but Atma. There is nothing other than Atma. Such as Dig, Desha, Kala, even space, time and location, all of these don't exist in Atma. They don't exist in this space and time. Of course, create the idea of duality and location. So Dig means space, Desha means location, and Kala means the time. All of these exist only in the realm of duality. And Brahman transcends the duality. Therefore, there is no possibility that Brahman can possess any space and location, etc. Iti Shasthama Saptayamayoho Adhigatam. And so this is what we learned in the 6th and the 7th chapters. That Brahman has no relation whatever with the space or the location or the volume, size. Tathapi, yadyapi, tathapi, even then. So that is the answer to that akshepa. Akshepa is questioning. So how do you do this? So this is the reason, even then. Here, in this chapter, Mandabuddhinam. So those who are not able to grasp Brahman that is devoid of all attributes. So Mandabuddhi means those whose mind is not prepared to grasp Brahman, the truth, which is devoid of all attributes and all qualifications. Unqualified truth. So qualified truth and unqualified truth. The truth that we get in our life, Vyavahara, is qualified truth. It cannot be absolute truth. So through that you climb to the unqualified or absolute truth. So Mandabuddhinam Digdeshadi Bhedavad Vastu iti. So they cannot even imagine that the Vastu or the truth or the reality can be devoid of this space and location and time, etc. They cannot conceptualize and visualize, or even they can even think. So those adhikaris, those seekers, whose mind is only imbued or saturated with the idea of the truth being possessed of the attributes of the space and time and the location. So this is what they are accustomed to think of Ishvara. So it evam bhavita buddhi. So buddhi of the mind which is thus oriented, which is rooted in these thoughts or conclusions. Sahasa paramartha vishaya karatum na shakyate. All of a sudden, it is not possible for the teacher to right away make them see the truth which is devoid of all the attributes. It's not possible for them to give up those attributes in their mind right away. So those whose mind only think that God is with attributes, cannot be devoid of attributes. So to be able to engage their mind in the truth that is without attributes is not easy. You have to do it only stepwise. Right away you cannot do sahasa. right away you cannot change their mind. So, sahasa paramartha vishaya kartum na shakyate. It's not possible to make their mind suddenly grasp the truth which is attributeless. Because of that, number one. Meaning the section now follows this for different adhikaris. You see, this would not make sense. To begin this chapter with Upasana would not make sense if Upanishad was addressing the same people who were addressed in the 6th and 7th chapter. It would not make sense. But in the 6th and 7th chapter, Uttamadhikaris were addressed. This one, on the other hand, addresses the Mandadhikaris. The dull intellect, maybe this I seek of dull intellect or undeveloped intellect, put it this way. So the dull perhaps cannot be made bright, undeveloped can be developed. So those whose mind is not developed enough, to help them develop to a point where now they can grasp the teaching of the unqualified Brahman. Alright, why do you want to do that? Let them be happy with what they know. He says, no. Anadigamya Brahma na Purushad Siddhi. Unfortunately, Purushad Siddhi. The goal of life cannot be attained. Anadigamya Brahma. Without knowing Brahman, one cannot attain the ultimate goal of life. And Shruti wants that this fellow also should attain the ultimate goal, the moksha. Tat adhigamaya. So Brahma, therefore, for knowing Brahman that is unqualified, Hruppundarika desha upadeshtabhya. Therefore, Shruti thinks it is necessary to help them grow to a point of uttamadhikaritva by meditating on the same Brahman. Same Brahman is meditated. And for the purpose of meditation, these attributes of space and location, etc., are superimposed to facilitate meditation. So Bhashyakara gives several reasons as to why justifying the Upasana section or the first 6 sections of the 8th chapter. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kevam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.